For years had passed since Laura's departure, yet the ache in my heart persisted as though it were only yesterday. I, Bill, had been married to Laura for 12 blissful years until a tragic accident tore her away from me in an instant. It was a routine trip to the convenience store for dinner ingredients that ended in catastrophe. A collision with a semi-truck claimed Laura's life, leaving me shattered and numb. For over a year, I existed in a haze of grief, unable to accept her absence. Eventually, I resolved to embrace life again, but the emptiness inside remained unyielding. Despite attempts at dating, I couldn't shake the profound connection I felt with Laura. It became evident that I was unwilling to let go of her memory, sabotaging any chance of moving on. One day, exhausted by futile attempts to replace her, I surrendered to solitude. Aimless walks through the city became my solace, leading me to unfamiliar, neglected corners where I found a strange sense of peace. During one of these walks, I encountered a vulnerable young woman in dire circumstances. Despite our contrasting worlds, she sought refuge in my presence, instinctively recognizing me as a source of protection. As we walked together, she tentatively offered companionship, revealing the harsh reality of her situation. In her proposition, I glimpsed both her desperation and resilience, a poignant reminder of the complexities of human connection amidst loss and loneliness. "Shouldn't you be in school instead of soliciting strangers?" I admonished the young woman. "You're not my dad. I just offered to help you feel good for a bit, not to be lectured about my life," she retorted before walking away, leaving me stunned. The encounter lingered in my thoughts over the weekend, prompting questions about her circumstances. Did my appearance reflect vulnerability, or was I merely seen as an easy target for her financial gain? The following week, consumed by work, I buried myself in contracts, neglecting my usual walks. However, during a dinner with clients, I spotted her again, dressed provocatively, embodying the image of a streetwalker. Later, on my drive home, I found myself drawn to the street where I first encountered her. There she was, a stark juxtaposition of innocence and experience. I pulled over, unsure of my intentions, and attempted to engage her in conversation. Yet, her response, coupled with her profession, jolted me back to reality. Returning home, I grappled with my actions, questioning my motives. Was I seeking solace in fleeting intimacy? A revelation struck me as I recognized her resemblance to Laura in her youth. Haunted by her image, I searched for her, eventually finding her in a desolate state in the park, a stark reminder of the harsh realities she faced. I sat beside her, close but not touching, met with a gaze fraught with fear and suspicion. Silence enveloped us, and I began to question the absurdity of my presence. What compelled me to linger here, I couldn't discern. She continued to weep, her sobs punctuating the air, signaling her intention to depart. In a feeble attempt to offer comfort, I extended my hand, offering her my handkerchief. "What? You appear injured. Can I take you to the hospital?" "Fuck you. I can take care of myself. Go away. Leave me alone. I only wanted to help." "Yeah, sure, just like Alphonse. I'll help you, little girl, then next thing you know, here I am, a whore on drugs, getting beaten up for fun by my Johns." "That's not what I meant. I genuinely want to assist you. What can I do for you?" "Just leave me alone. You're all the same. Men like you use women like me and offer nothing but pain. Go away and leave me alone. Listen, you're injured and clearly without shelter. I have some money, not much on me, but take it. Get yourself a motel room and something to eat, at least." Snatching the money from my hand, she shot me a fleeting glance before fleeing into the night. Left to ponder my actions, I wrestled with my intentions, lost in introspection until a looming figure disrupted my reverie. "Hey man, you seen a sweet young thing around here? Blonde, short skirt, nice tits?" "No, I haven't. Is she important to you?" "Ha ha ha, no, man, not important. She's just one of my whores, you know? Alphonse has the best white whores in town." "So, you're her pimp?" "Yeah, that's what I am. Lil' bitch ran out on me earlier tonight. I need to teach her some manners. Can't have her leaving the Johns, you know what I mean?" Concerned for her safety, I resolved to find her before he did. Tracing her steps, I wandered into unfamiliar territory, guided by the faint echoes of her distress. In a dimly lit alley, I stumbled upon her, crouched and vulnerable, her tears a silent plea for salvation. "You're coming with me, to my place. You need a bath and a good night's rest in a warm bed." "Why are you doing this? Don't you know what I am? What do you want from me? Are you some kind of pervert?" "Listen, I can't quite explain why I'm offering to help you, especially given your less than friendly demeanor. But I can't just leave you out here for Alphonse to find later. Come on. In the morning, you can figure out what you want. Right now, you need a bath and some rest. And we should tend to those bruises." I guided her reluctantly, but she followed without much resistance. As we approached my neighborhood, she hesitated. I can't go with you. You live in a nice area. I don't belong here. Your neighbors won't accept me." I couldn't care less about what my neighbors think. "Come on, you've come this far. I might have some clothes that fit you. My late wife's, but I think you two were the same size." After some persuasion, I got her into my house and into the bathtub. While she bathed, I rummaged through my wife's belongings, finding clothes that might suit her. Returning to the kitchen, I prepared a late dinner for both of us. When she joined me at the table, clean and refreshed, she still bore the marks of her ordeal, yet her beauty remained striking. I noticed she hadn't worn the bra. "So, did the bath help soothe you?" "Yeah." "Why did you bring me here? You're not planning something unusual, are you?" "No, I'm not planning anything unusual. I just wanted to help you in some way. You seemed in need of assistance. That's all. And if I were planning something, do you think I'd tell you? Most people don't help like you do. The other day, when you stopped by in your car, what was that about?" "I honestly don't know. I guess I wanted to talk to you. Maybe I'm curious about why you're doing what you're doing. Look, I'll show you to your room. If you need anything during the night, feel free to help yourself." I led her to the spare bedroom and offered her more of my wife's clothes. "Your wife was just my size. Where is she? Did she leave you for someone else or something?" "No. She, passed away a few years ago." "You still have her things in your room? Man, that's messed up. You should have gotten rid of that stuff. It's not good to have reminders like that around." "Well, thank you for your advice, Doctor. I'll keep that in mind tomorrow. Good night. I'll make breakfast in the morning if you want." Her casual analysis of my situation irked me, and I responded tersely. "Hey, look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be, rude. Thanks, too. For everything. Yeah. Good night." "Good night. By the way, what's your name? I mean, you've been helping me out so much here. We should at least know each other's name." "Mine's Shannon." "Well, Shannon, I'm Russell. Sleep well." That night, as I lay in bed, my emotions churned. Part of me resented Shannon's dismissive remarks about my late wife's belongings. Could she understand the depth of my grief, or was it unreasonable to expect her to? After all, those items were my only tangible connection to Laura, and I still missed her terribly. Yet, another nagging question gnawed at me: why had I extended help to a young woman who likely struggled with addiction and prostitution? Could I truly feel safe with her under my roof? Sleep evaded me, and I found myself checking on Shannon several times throughout the night. She appeared to sleep soundly, her rest undisturbed. At daybreak, I managed to steal a few hours of restless sleep before rising to prepare breakfast. As I cooked, Shannon entered the kitchen, and I welcomed her with a nod. Conversation felt strained, uncomfortable. She seemed too curious about my past, and I wasn't keen on delving into it with her. "Good morning, Russell. Or would you prefer Russ?" "You may call me either. Laura, my late wife, used to call me Russ. It suits." "Do you miss her? Your late wife, I mean. How long has she been gone?" 3 years now. So, are you hungry? Breakfast is served. I redirected the conversation, unwilling to dwell on painful memories. As Shannon ate, her gaze wandered around the kitchen, her interest evident. You keep a pretty clean house for a guy. Thanks. Not much else for me to do when I'm not working. So, are you seeing anyone? Dating? I dated a bit, but I've given it up. You must have loved her a lot. Yeah. Would you like some more pancakes or bacon? No. Why do you change the subject every time I mention your wife? I don't. Yes, you do. Is it too painful? You must have been a close couple. Not like my mom and dad. I'll bet it would have been great to be your daughter. We didn't have any children. Laura had a physical problem that prevented her from getting pregnant. Oh. That's too bad. I can't have kids either. John beat me pretty bad one night, put me in the hospital. I was bleeding pretty badly down there. Found out that he had messed me up enough that I'll never have kids. Why? Why do you do what you do when it causes you so much pain? Hey, you gotta live, you know? Alphonse used to take pretty good care of me, but he has some new girls now, so I'm lower on his list. I don't bring in as much as I used to. Maybe I'm getting too old or used up. I was taken aback by Shannon's matter-of-fact tone as she spoke about her life in prostitution. To her, it seemed like a matter of fact, an accepted reality that people in her line of work got used up quickly. And she couldn't have been much older than 17, if that. Do you want out? Would you like to go back to school and get a degree or learn a skill other than, hooking? Fucking for money? I have a good skill. I can fuck and suck with the best of them. It's what I do. You don't want to find something else a little, shall I say, safer? Once I wanted to be an engineer. My dad laughed at me. Said women were only good for one thing only, and that was having babies. I'm sorry to hear that. I think you would have made a great engineer. How would you know that? You've only seen me as what I am, a hooker. How could you think that I would have made a great engineer anyway? I don't know. My wife, Laura, she was an engineer. Mechanical engineer. A damn good one, too. You remind me of her. Yeah, I saw her picture in the living room. Is that why you want to help me? I look like your wife. You want me to pretend to be her? Take you to bed and hug you close, kissing, touching you, just like she did? No. You can't, I'm not looking for a replacement for my wife. You may look like her in some strange way, but I do not want to be intimate with you like that. This young girl was upsetting me greatly. I did not fully understand why I had reached out to help her at first, and even now I was wondering why. Shannon had a way of directly asking questions that seemed to drive to the heart of me. Oh, afraid you'll catch some disease? I am STD-free, well, as far as I know anyway. Look, I need to repay you for the clothes and taking care of me. She stood up and began to strip her clothes off. I turned away and left the kitchen wanting to be away as far as I could get from her. Deep inside, I wanted to have her. She reminded me so much of Laura that I couldn't help myself. I knew that she wasn't Laura, though, and that she was far too young, too. I went into my bedroom and waited for a bit. I heard her go into the living room and turn on the TV. Thinking that she had given up trying to pay me back, I walked out only to see that she was stark naked laying on the couch spread-legged. Her hands were in her crotch, playing with herself. Her pussy was shaved, and I could see that she was very wet there as well. She looked up into my eyes and then lifted her hands up and out towards me. Her breasts were heaving, nipples hard, as she sat there showing me everything she had to offer. Come over here and help a girl out, will you? No. You have the wrong idea. I just wanted to help you. You were hurt. You just needed someone to help you out. I don't want to have you that way. Oh, really? Then why are your pants tinted out so far? Pickle in your pocket? I can see that you need a woman. Come on, I won't bite. Hell, I won't even charge you. She jumped up and began to stalk towards me. I backed up. I felt the bedroom door at my back and I knew that was the last place I should be headed to. I turned and walked quickly into the kitchen, going right to the sink. I busied myself with the dishes, putting them in the dishwasher. I was shaking. I had wanted her. I had wanted to take her in my arms, hold her close to me, lay her down on the bed, and I shook my head. My mind was mixed up now. Why had I decided to offer to help her anyway? She stood in the door to the kitchen, naked, her face smiling at my discomfort. She was holding her breasts up and out, licking her lips. She had no shame at all. Listen, I think you've got the wrong idea about why I helped you. It's not about. You wanted someone to fill the void left by your wife, Laura. You wanted her presence back in your life. Well, I can be that for you, if you want. I won't mind. I might even like it. I believe you'd treat me well, not hurt me. So, why not come over here and have me? I'm open to it. No, that's not it. You do remind me of my late wife, yes, but I can't, you're not, please, don't. At that point, she relented. With a sigh, she turned and headed towards the guest bedroom. Later, she emerged wearing Laura's jeans and an old white shirt. Despite her tough exterior, she looked surprisingly beautiful and perhaps even a bit content. Thanks for the clothes. They fit me quite nicely. Your wife must have been my exact size. So, you still miss her a lot, huh? Yes, I miss her terribly. Why don't you try to move on? Find someone else? There are plenty of options out there. I've tried, it just didn't feel right. And what about you? Why are you living like this? Why not go back home to your parents and... Listen, my mom's a drunk. My dad used to beat me, and when my mom was too wasted to entertain him, he turned to me. It started when I was 11. I ran away and never looked back. Oh, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Don't worry about it. I've been able to take care of myself just fine. I've managed this long anyway. So, how old are you, really? 19. Almost 20. Just a couple of months away. You look a bit younger, though. Yeah, that's why I was so popular with Alphonse's customers. I look younger than I actually am. Most of his clients like very young girls. With my pussy shaved clean and my hair in pigtails, I look about 21 or so. That's sick. That's life, pal. Most men are dogs. They want sweet young girls to have their rocks off in and to use in any way they feel. Then they want to dump them. Some men maybe, certainly not all men. Nor most men either. Yeah, well, I see men acting and doing things you probably don't even want to know about. My experience has shown me that any man will do or try to do a young girl. It's only natural. Youth and beauty, you know? That may be for some men. How about when you get older? What happens then? Mister, girls in my line of work don't get too much older. So, why not change your line of work? How? Go to school, get a degree in something that interests you. Takes money. Lots of money. I can't do that and live too. Gotta earn a living somehow. Gotta eat, you know? My heart raced as I considered my next words. Offering this could potentially anger my wife, but something inside urged me to speak up anyway. Listen, I have some funds. You could stay here and pursue your education. I'll cover all your college expenses, any university you choose. You can earn your degree and become whatever you aspire to be. I'll support you fully. Are you out of your mind? You want to fund my education? You don't even know me. Why would you offer such help, knowing what I've been through? What you are is a young woman who's faced hardships. I'm extending a lifeline to you. I have the means. Let me assist you. No obligations, no strings attached. I'll finance your education, and you can pursue your dreams. She regarded me with disbelief, perhaps thinking I was insane. Maybe I was. My colleagues would likely question my sanity for this. But all I felt was a compelling need to aid her. I can't. I can't accept your money like that. Yes, you can. It's not really my money anyway. It's my late wife's insurance payout. It's been untouched. I don't need it, nor do I want it. If it can benefit someone like you, then it's serving a noble purpose. Let me assist you. Alphonse. He'd come after me. He's already hunting me. He'd never allow me to go to school. Listen, you don't have to study here. You can choose any institution you desire. I'll cover your housing either in an apartment or on campus. It's on me. All you have to do is focus on your studies, excel, and earn your degree. Then, you'll be free from Alphonse's grip forever. I'm not sure. It doesn't feel right. It's your wife's money meant for you, not for me. It's my money now. It's the right thing to do. There's nothing wrong with using it for a good cause. If you don't use it, it'll just sit there, wasted. You're insane, you know that? I was just messing with you. I don't want to go to college. I just want to. I like. So, you were just telling me what you thought I wanted to hear? I'm just a client you're trying to please? I genuinely believe you can do better for yourself. I'm offering you an opportunity. Seize it. Opportunities like this are rare. Yeah? And what if I end up in a class with an old client, or worse, a former client as the professor? Then what? I can't go back to school. It's too late for me. Shannon, it's never too late. If your past didn't hold you back, what dream would you chase? Why do you care so much? I'm just trash, trailer trash. A prostitute. For the right price, anyone can have me however they want. Just a hooker. Nothing. You're a person. A human being. You're beautiful and intelligent. I'm a whore. Sold for sex. And I have a little issue with drugs. I kind of like my crack, you know. Right now, I'd do anything for a fix from Alphonse. It's starting to get to me. I need a hit, you get what I'm saying? You need to kick the drugs. Tell me something I don't know. I'm hooked. I don't have a choice anymore. I need that fix, and I need it soon. How about I take you to the hospital? Get you some help? Yeah. Right. Let's take a little break. If you like stories like this, then subscribe to my channel. Continuing the story. I genuinely want to help you, Shannon. You deserve a better life, a safe home, a supportive companion. Let me assist you in finding that. Please? Well, it's your money and your life. But I can tell you, it won't be easy. I've seen people come off crack before. It's a rough ride. But I do want to get off this stuff. Then you'll do it? Let me take you to the hospital. Yeah, okay. Let's go before I change my mind, though. I accompanied Shannon to the hospital, where an ER doctor tended to her injuries first. He kept shooting me judgmental looks, which I brushed off until the police arrived. Excuse me, sir. Did you bring in that young lady over there? He was polite but stern, his uniform adding to his authority. I felt a bit intimidated, realizing he was likely summoned by the doctor. Is there a problem, officer? She's been roughed up, hasn't she? Yeah, her pimp. So, you're her pimp then? No, I'm just helping her out. So you're helping out a prostitute? Haven't you helped her enough? Suddenly, it dawned on me that they thought I had assaulted her. Trouble seemed imminent. I hoped Shannon would tell the truth, but my confidence wavered. Look, I found her on the street, and... That's where one finds prostitutes, pal. I was walking, and she was lying by a dumpster, crying. I took her home, cleaned her up, gave her a place to sleep, then brought her here for treatment. So, she wasn't as tough as you thought, huh? What? No, it's not like that at all. I was trying to help her. Her John beat her, she's strung out on crack. I'm just trying to help. Can't someone still care? Or is that illegal too? I grew angry. Who did this officer think I was? Accusing me of harming a girl for pleasure was sickening. The thought of harming Shannon disgusted me. She was just a young girl in need of assistance. The officer checked my ID while I defended myself, then he received a message from his partner. Hey, look, I'm sorry. We were told you brought in this girl after assaulting her. The doctor called us. Well, his nurse did. It's protocol nowadays, you know? You're clear. By the way, sorry about your wife. I was there that night. Yeah, thanks. Are we done then? I was seething, and his mention of my wife reopened old wounds. Damn, I still hurt. And he was there that night. Wait, one thing, officer. Watson. Yeah? That night, when you... Look, we were first on the scene. She was already gone. She probably never knew what hit her. Thank you. I've wondered, morbid, I know, but it's bothered me. You'd be surprised, or maybe not. Quite a few people wonder about things like that. They left, and the doctor approached, starting with an apology. I'm sorry, I have to report any suspicious injuries like hers. So much abuse these days. I understand. Maybe I could have asked her first. Well, in these situations, it's usually better to let the police handle it. It tends to work out better in the long run. She also has a drug addiction, you know. Are you her father? No. But I'll take care of the bills. Here's my credit card. Oh, you'll need to take that to the billing office. They'll be happy to take your money. But I need someone to sign for her treatment. Isn't she of age? She said she was almost 20. I'll have to verify her story. Can I ask you something, though? Why am I helping her despite knowing what she's done? Yeah. It's kind of unusual. I could sense he thought I was some kind of pervert. I just shrugged and glanced into Shannon's room. She reminds me of someone I cared about deeply once. I'm trying to repay a debt to that person. I see. I could tell he didn't really see, but I didn't mind. Shannon stayed in the hospital overnight. When I arrived in the morning, I half expected her to have left to return to Alphonse. So I was pleasantly surprised to find her waiting for me in her room. Good morning. Hey. Bet you thought I ran out on you last night, didn't you? Didn't expect to find me still here, did you? Honestly? Yes, I had a feeling you might have gone back to Alphonse. Nope. You're stuck with me now. You'll regret it too. I have to talk to a shrink this afternoon for the drug rehab. Okay. Here? Yeah. What would you like to do in the meantime? Magazines? TV? Anything I can get you? I still don't understand why you're being so nice to me. Why are you so determined to help me? Because I want to. That's all. You're the weirdest man I've ever been around. You're nice. Most men would either buy me or ignore me. You're trying to help me. That's a first for me. Like I said before, not all men are mean. In fact, most would probably lend you a hand if you needed it. Yeah, right. And expect something in return afterward. I'd bet they'd expect something before too. Well, I'm not like that. I genuinely want to help you. You have a tough road ahead with your addiction. I'll be here to support you every step of the way. What are you getting out of it? Let's just say, satisfaction. I'm going to get satisfaction from knowing that I was able to help a beautiful young lady become something better. There are lots of other deserving ladies out there, Russ. Well, I found you first. Shannon spent the next 4 months at the hospital. I visited her every day, holding her during her shakes, bringing her magazines and sodas. I was becoming quite close to her by the time she had finished her treatment and was ready to be discharged. During this time, I began to develop feelings of love for her. I would visit her, spend as much time as I could with her, and then go home to think about her all night. Occasionally, something she said or did would arouse me, but I successfully hid that from her each time. The day I brought her home from the hospital, she looked like a normal and beautiful young woman coming home with her father. You couldn't tell that just a few months ago she had been a street-walking hooker with a drug addiction. The first night at home, I set her up in the spare bedroom and got her some personal items from the store. She was quiet and laid down for a bit while I made dinner. As I went to call her for dinner, I heard what sounded like crying. Knocking softly, I waited. Why, yes? Dinner's ready if you're hungry. It's nothing special, but I think it'll taste good. Are you all right? Yes. I'll be right out, Russ. I just need to go to the bathroom first. When she entered the kitchen, I could see from her red-rimmed eyes that she had been crying. We didn't speak much as we ate, and then Shannon helped me clean up the dishes afterward. I debated whether or not to mention her red eyes, but she beat me to it as we finished cleaning. I really want you to know that you've helped me far more than any man ever has, Russ. You're the first person to do things for me without asking for anything in return. I don't know how to repay you, but I will somehow, some way. Thank you. Tears fell down her cheeks as she spoke to me. Unable to resist, I put my arms around her and hugged her close to me. I felt her tense up, realizing why, so I released her quickly. Sorry. I thought that you. I'm proud of you, Shannon. You've come a long way from when we first met. Shannon looked into my eyes without speaking. Then, she suddenly reached out and put her arms around me, hugging me. I was careful not to reciprocate as I didn't want her to tense up again. I felt bad about that. I'm sorry, Russ. I should have known that you, of all people, wouldn't have wanted something from me a minute ago when you hugged me. Bad memories, I guess. Reassured, I carefully put my arms around her and hugged her lightly. Shannon buried her head into my chest and held me close. I could smell the fruity essence of shampoo fragrance in her hair as I held her. My heart began to beat faster, and embarrassed, I released her, afraid that she would notice. She looked up at me and smiled, a mischievous and knowing smile. Her arms were still around me, and her lower body was pressed tightly against mine. Why did you stop hugging me, Russ? Well, you got a bit turned on, didn't you? No, well, yes. But I didn't want you to think that I. Russ, you are the first man to ever treat me decently. You have given me so much, and I have given you nothing in return. It's all right if you want to. No. Look, Shannon, you are a bright and beautiful young lady. I'm much older, and truthfully, I just want to help you. That's all. Well, you should remind your cock then, Russ. It seems to have a mind of its own. I didn't know that you were so well endowed either. I pushed her away. She had begun to grind her crotch into mine, and my erection, which had sprung up while hugging her, had given me away. I was shaken. My mind was racing, searching for answers to questions I hadn't even thought to ask yet. You have an effect on me, Shannon. It isn't good. I'm too old for you and... Russ. I've had far older than you. I've had older, younger, meaner, nastier, and even more dangerous men than you. But never once a man so nice and thoughtful as you. I think that you and I having it off in bed together would be fun, even great. After all, I do owe you still. You don't owe me anything. Look, I want to help you with no strings attached. Can't you just leave it at that? We can't do. Oh, really? I have what you need, Russ. A nice warm pussy, shaved, wet, ready for you. Your cock is a nice size and very hard. I'm an adult, and so are you. You are free, and so am I. Look, I need you, Russ. I need you to fuck me hard, all night long. I want you to make love to me, too. I want you to be the first man to actually make love to me. Please? Make love to me? Oh, God. Shannon. I just can't. Give me a chance. Give yourself a break, Russ. You need a woman. You need a woman's touch. I want to be that woman. I want to be your woman. Let me be your lover. You know that you want to deep down inside. I have seen you look at me. I have seen your hard-ons at different times. I know you want me. It's not what I wanted. I just wanted to help you, Shannon. I didn't have any ulterior motive. I'm not trying to trap you into having sex with me. God, Russ. I know that. You have been so nice and good. Getting me help, offering to send me to college, everything you have done for me. In that time in the hospital, I came to love you, Russ. I love you. Is it because of my past? Is that it? I'm STD free, you know. They checked me several times. No, it's not the STDs. You love me? Like a father, perhaps. I'm so old compared to you. I love you too, Shannon. But you really need to let loose and tell me what's on your mind, Russ. You love me, I love you. Lovers should fuck. Pretty simple. We need to try each other out a bit in the old sack. I'm dying for a good fuck, and I know that you have been for a longer time than I have too. Saying that, Shannon began to strip off her clothes. I was shocked, then mesmerized as I watched her body come into view. I didn't stop her, I never even tried to stop her. I just watched as she took off all of her clothes and then stood before me naked. Her breasts were jutting out, firm and ripe for plucking. I could see her clean-shaven pussy, wet with her desire. Her body was open, and her obvious comfort with showing herself to me made it very hard for me to breathe. I stood there like a statue, and she began to undress me after a bit. Again, I did nothing to stop her, letting my clothes be removed from my body as she undid them. My cock was throbbing as she pulled my underwear and pants down my legs, and her face was just inches away from it. I could feel her hot breath as her hands caressed my legs starting from my ankles. Suddenly, her tongue shot out and licked the head of my cock in a long swiping motion. I moaned, holding still, loving the feeling of that tongue, yet afraid of who was giving that feeling to me. Little Russ, meet my tongue and lips. They have been wanting to get to know you for quite some time now. Her voice cut through the thickened air in a warm and sensual way, causing my cock to throb and bounce in front of her. The next thing I felt was her lips encircling my shaft and tightly holding it as she pressed her head down, down, down. She didn't stop until her lips were grinding against my pubic hairs at the base of my cock. She slowly moved back up, and I opened my eyes to see her eyes on me. Looking into each other's eyes, I could see a smile of sorts as her lips pulled off my cock. Then before I could do anything, she pressed those lovely lips around my shaft and took me fully into her throat again, watching me as she did. Her eyes never left mine as she began to shove my shaft back and forth, sucking my cock with an experience and knowledge that no woman had ever shown to me before. Shannon wasn't doing this out of duty or because she had to. She was doing this because she wanted to. She was making love to me with her mouth and throat. I could see that in her eyes and in the way she worked me over. I wiped a tear away from my right eye, feeling a mix of embarrassment and overwhelming emotions. Breaking eye contact, I glanced around the room before closing my eyes, surrendering to the sensations of a lover's touch. In that moment, I admitted to myself what I had been denying for so long: I loved her. My emotions were a whirlwind, and I mentally scolded myself for being so vulnerable. I was a man, not supposed to cry over matters of the heart. Yet, I couldn't help but feel torn between the intense pleasure of the moment, the flood of love and need surging within me, and the complexities of our age difference. Pushing aside my conflicted thoughts, I focused on savoring every moment of this intimate encounter. For the first time in years, I felt truly alive, and I longed to hold on to this feeling forever. Gently placing my hands on Shannon's head, I relished the sensation of her hair as she skillfully worked my hardened shaft. She expertly brought me to the brink of orgasm, then skillfully held me back, teasing and tantalizing me. I surrendered to her mastery, allowing her to guide our shared pleasure. Eventually, she released my cock and nestled close to me, signaling the transition to our next phase of intimacy. With her arms around my shoulders, I lifted her from the kitchen and carried her into my bedroom. Her body pressed against mine, igniting a fire within me as she showered me with kisses. Carefully laying her on the bed, I positioned myself between her legs, eager to explore her fully. Starting with gentle kisses on her thighs, I gradually made my way to her dripping wet core. The scent of her arousal filled the air, matching the urgency of my own desire. As my tongue traced along her folds, eliciting moans of pleasure from her lips, I savored the taste of her need. Her reaction spurred me on, and I maintained a steady rhythm, skillfully bringing her to the peak of pleasure. Her hands clutched me tightly as she rode the waves of her climax, before gradually easing into a state of relaxation. Moving my attention to other areas, I continued to caress and explore, ensuring her continued arousal. When she neared the edge once more, I shifted position, aligning our bodies to achieve perfect union. Our lips met in a passionate kiss, our tongues dancing in harmony as we surrendered to the ecstasy of the moment. With her guidance, I entered her, our bodies joining in a blissful union of passion and desire. Held in the embrace of our shared love, we surrendered to the primal urge that bound us together, lost in the intensity of our connection. Oh God, I need your cock inside me. It's so big and hard. I've been waiting for this moment for so long, she exclaimed, releasing me and rolling her hips to take me fully into her tight, wet pussy. The sensation was overwhelming, sending waves of pleasure coursing through my body. My mind was a whirlwind of sensations, unable to process anything beyond the ecstasy of the moment. It had been ages since I'd experienced anything like this. Shannon's bite on my lip brought me back to reality, and I began to thrust into her with abandon, relishing every movement. Our bodies moved in perfect harmony, the rhythm of our lovemaking building to a crescendo. Moans and screams filled the air as we surrendered to our primal desires, lost in the intensity of our connection. Baby, fuck me harder. Give it to me, Shannon urged, her words driving me further into ecstasy. As our orgasms peaked, we found release in each other's arms, lost in the overwhelming pleasure of the moment. I spilled my seed deep inside her as she clung to me, her own climax washing over her. Afterward, we lay together in silence, basking in the afterglow of our passion. Shannon's kisses reignited the flame between us, her touch igniting a fire within me. We explored each other with a newfound intimacy, savoring every moment of our connection. As Shannon pleasured me with her mouth, I surrendered to the pleasure, my senses overwhelmed by her touch. Her request to taste my essence filled me with a mixture of excitement and apprehension, a first for me. But as she gazed into my eyes, I knew I couldn't deny her anything. With her lips wrapped around me, I let go, surrendering to the ecstasy of the moment as she drank me in. As we held each other afterward, Shannon confessed her love, and I reciprocated, grateful for the depth of our connection. Yet, she urged caution, warning of the challenges our relationship might face in the future. Despite the uncertainty, I knew one thing for certain: I loved her, and I was willing to face whatever came our way together. Do you think I haven't already agonized over this? I just want to welcome you into my life, Shannon. I need you, and you needed me. Well, maybe you don't anymore. Your future is wide open now. If our relationship is part of that future, then I'll be overjoyed, regardless of your past. I know I love you. Several weeks passed, and our physical connection seemed unending. Shannon eagerly awaited my return home from work, ready to indulge in our intimate moments. She was sexually assertive and insatiable, keeping me on my toes. You're going to wear me out with all this sex, I teased. I never had this much action even with my late wife. You're something else, Shannon. She regarded me seriously. Russ, if you want me to dial it back, I will. I'm just so happy. I've never been happier. You make me feel alive, loved, and fulfilled. I love that about you too. But someday, I'll slow down. Whether by choice or necessity. But I do love you, no matter what. And I've been thinking about us, our future. What about us? She asked, curiosity gleaming in her eyes. I'd like to know what you envision for us. Where do you want to go to school? What do you want to become? And where do you see us in the future? I've thought about it too, she admitted. I want to go to school, maybe study mechanical engineering. And as for us, well, what do you think, Russ? I know I'm older, but I'd like some permanence in our relationship, I confessed. I'd like us to get married, Shannon. I'd be honored if you'd marry me. But my past. She hesitated. I don't care about that. I love you, and that's all that matters to me. Let's make it official, I insisted. Russ, I want to be your wife, your partner, your lover, but not because you feel obligated. Let's not rush into this just because of our physical connection, she cautioned. Shannon, you're my everything. I want to marry you because I love you, not out of obligation. I know we haven't been together long, and the age gap may raise eyebrows, but my love for you is unwavering. Can we wait a few months before deciding, Russ? Trouble might still arise, and we may change our minds. If we do get married, I want it to be forever. That's what I've always dreamed of growing up, being married and deeply in love with my husband. But I want to be absolutely certain before we take that step. Mostly for your sake than mine. After all, my past as a hooker and drug addict doesn't exactly make me the ideal spouse, does it? We agreed to table any marriage discussions for 6 months. I marked that date in bold red on the calendar, eagerly anticipating the possibility of our union. 3 months later, I received a distress call from Shannon at work. Hastening home, I found the house empty, a broken glass, and an open back door hinting at trouble. Frantically searching, I found no trace of her. Then, a memory struck me, and I returned to the place where I first encountered her. Scanning the area, I noticed an open window on the building where she used to buy drugs. Suddenly, her silhouette appeared, fleeting yet familiar. I acted quickly, retrieving a tire iron from my car and bursting into the building. Inside, I found Shannon in a heated argument with Alphonse. Without hesitation, I intervened, incapacitating him with a swift blow. Taking Shannon's hand, we fled to safety. Back home, Shannon recounted her harrowing ordeal. Alphonse had forcibly taken her, threatening her life in a fit of rage. He just barged in, dragged me out. I think he would have killed me, Russ, she sobbed. It's okay, Shannon. You're safe now. I'll call the police. Kidnapping is a serious offense, I reassured her. They won't do anything. They'll find out I used to work for him, and that'll be it, she resigned. But I refused to let her live in fear any longer. Not if I have anything to say about it. He's about to learn that you're no longer under his control, and I'll do everything in my power to protect you. I know just who to call, Officer Watson. He's familiar with me, and he's a man of integrity. But what happens afterward? They won't keep him locked up for long. He has influential lawyers. Leave that to me, Shannon. I'll handle everything. Trust me. I contacted the police, specifically requesting Officer Watson. He arrived, and we recounted the events leading up to Alphonse's arrest. Watson seemed convinced, and I held nothing back. Well, Russ, I'll ensure Alphonse pays for this. He's a repeat offender, but this time, his record will catch up with him. Alphonse was arrested that afternoon, making headlines. With bail denied, he awaited trial. A few weeks later, Officer Watson called with news. Russ? It's Officer Watson. Alphonse passed away in jail last night. What? How? He picked a fight with the wrong person, it seems. Some past deal gone sour. He won't be facing trial, but justice was served. I shared the news with Shannon, who cried in relief. That evening, I held her close and finally asked the question that had been on my mind. Shannon, will you marry me? She remained silent, her head buried in my shoulder. Shannon? Please? I love you so much. Let's get married. Her shoulders shook as she pushed back. Yes. I'll marry you, Russ. I've wanted that since the day you saved me. I wasn't sure you still felt the same, but yes, I'll marry you. With that, she kissed me passionately, her tears still fresh. She undressed me swiftly, and with intense desire, she pleasured me until I reached climax, her eyes locked on mine the entire time. Remaining in that intimate embrace, Shannon continued to pleasure me with her mouth and body until I was fully aroused once more. Straddling my lap, she guided me inside her, and we moved together in a rhythm of passion and love. Our connection felt deeper, more profound, now that we were engaged. My climax was powerful, amplified by the joy of Shannon's acceptance of my proposal. Whether it was psychological or not, it didn't matter. I was consumed by love, reveling in every moment with my soon-to-be wife. On a warm spring day, we stood together at Laura's gravesite, Shannon placing flowers as I stood by her side. "I think you'd appreciate her, Laura. Shannon just graduated with her BS in mechanical engineering. I love her as deeply as I loved you." "What was that, Russ?" I didn't catch it. "Oh, just talking to myself." "Really? That's unusual for you." "I was just telling Laura about you, Shannon. How much I love you and about your graduation." "That's sweet, Russ. I'm sure she would have liked me." "Perhaps. But if circumstances had been different, we might never have met. And given my past, bringing a former prostitute home wouldn't have gone over well with most wives." "True. But you wouldn't dare, would you?" "Yes, dear." "Don't yes, dear me." She teased with a smile as we walked away. In my heart, I knew marrying Shannon was right, and I believed Laura would have approved. Write your opinion in the comments. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Remember, you're writing a story too, and it's up to you whether it's a good one or not.